Okay, well, we certainly have a quorum.
Yes, we do. So
Up to you, sir.
let's start this thing.
Yep.
Let's see. Is there anybody missing? Kevin, are you here?
Yep, he's there, and I see his name in a black square, so I assume he's.
I do see his name in a black square.
Yep.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good, 'cause
you're a little muffled like, but we can hear you.
Let's see. How's that?
Yep, that's a little better.
Good. Yeah, I'm dealing with a new headgear tonight, so we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Any citizens' petitions, comments, and concerns? Do we see any in the participants galley?
No, there's no one there right now. You want me to turn that over to you, or?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
God knows I don't want to be in charge of that.
Yeah, the world wonders sometimes,
All right, the next thing to deal with are the minutes. We had minutes from January 7th that we did some revisions to. Did everybody get a chance to take a look at those?
Indeed.
And do we have any comments on them?
I don't think so. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Dave Russell makes a motion to accept the minutes from January 7th. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Christy Post with a second. Thank you very much. Is there anybody who is not in favor of passing these? Then we will say they passed unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to January 21 meeting minutes. Did everybody have a chance to go through those?
Oh, yeah.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
No, I'm good.
Motion that we approve the meeting minutes from 21 January.
Thank you.
I'll
That was
second.
Michael Doyle, seconded by David Russell. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any opposition? Very good. Moving on. We have communications and reports. Anybody from PSBC have any communications or reports they'd like to let us know about?
I got
Not sure if
nothing.
it's a communication or a report, but when I coming home from work today, there are people on the sodded grass field at the Groton Middle School. I don't know if we still have signs up saying don't use this because the grass is still growing.
Well, there
But they
were.
there, so
Yep, there were, and I reported to Sam, there was some like last weekend on Saturday or Sunday, I guess, there's like 15 kids. So the signs are there. Not much we could do at this particular point, but if they disturb the field, it's going to be turned over here pretty soon, and it will be unfortunately Sam's responsibility or the Groton Public Schools. But so I don't know how you keep them off of there. Short of calling the police and having them send them over there.
I'm thinking that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Just ask them to do is swing a patrol by every now and then.
Right, and we can certainly do that. And we have talked, and Sam, I believe, has talked to the athletic directors and those folks to let them know the fields aren't open yet,
Right.
but it seems to fall on deaf ears sometimes,
Right. Well, I'm sure, if the school can say something, I agree with you. It probably does fall on, deaf ears.
Yeah,
But
so
if
anyway,
the school can
we're,
make the announcement asking the students to
Yep.
try and stay off of it until we can get the grass
Yep.
grown in.
I mean, the grass is established pretty well. I've done a walk with Tammy across there. It's a beautiful field, the grass field. Once you get it mowed down to a height, the grass has got, half an inch of brown on the top and the green down below. And once it's cut in the spring, I think it's going to be a fabulous field.
yeah, I just want to make sure the signs were there because we can't do much about it, but hopefully
Right,
somebody can read a sign and
Can I use my pitching wedge on it, Rick?
Well, you
Never.
maybe between
Never.
those, you
Never.
can hit towards the wetlands, and then we'll get the newts to eat you when you go in the wetlands.
I have another correspondent, I think anyway, as far as this might be a topic now, or if we want to wait for Groton Middle closeout, I'm not sure, but It was brought to our attention that there weren't enough carts. How the teachers are walking around because they didn't have a specific space and they needed 17 more carts at the middle school.
Yeah, Tammy has that on her list to do during our report.
do.
So we'll talk
Yep.
about it.
I got the same correspondence.
Oh, very good. Let's see, anybody got anything else? Tammy's up then. Consultants,
None of them, just us.
staff and program.
Yeah, so I know you're tired of hearing me after all this time, so I'll turn it over to the project managers and let them give you an update, and I'll fill in any blanks that need to be filled in between Brian and I will. I know he has some information on some particular things too, so Tammy, if you will.
Sure. All right. So as of last month, we completed the blue light installation. So that is 100% complete. We did the testing with the commissioning agent. They are working. We've done the programming. So the only thing right now that we're working on is bypassing the actual security company and having it go directly to the police dispatch. But everything is in working order, and so that's all completed.
The blue lights on the
Does
campus
everybody
only,
know what
or
the
is
blue
it-
lights are?
Are the blue lights on the campus only, or on the
Yeah,
building
why
only, or
don't
on
you
the
tell them what
campus?
that is, Tammy, because I
Yeah.
don't think everybody knows.
So the blue lights are to let anyone know from the outside that there is something going on into the building. So it's an emergency light. So very similar to like if you go to a bus station where they have those emergency calls, the blue phones, if you will. So this basically, if there's something going on in the building, it goes off and it will flash and it will be directed to, right now it's going to the security company, and then it will let the police know that there's something going on in the building for them to come to the building. And then as the blue lights go off, you know, it could be for a lockdown, and there is a message that will go off right now that's stating that it'll say it 3 times. This is a lockdown, you know, attention, attention, this is a lockdown. And it'll say it 3 times, and then, you know, it'll shut off after 3 times.
That's also in the internal and the bigger spaces
Yep.
where, so it's not only in an external light, but as Tammy said, with the announcement and the internal lights, that was something that was
Right.
requested.
Yep,
Seems
so-
reasonable. Yep.
Yeah,
Is
so
it a
it's in
smart
the,
system is it a smart system where the police know where to go? Or is it just all blue lights go off the whole building?
yeah, it's for the whole building. So it's not directed to a particular space like a fire alarm would be.
Okay.
So it's basically for the whole building, letting the police know that there's danger in the building. And also letting the blue lights that are in the interior of the building. So, because we have some in the gymnasium, the small performance, black box, and the cafeteria. So they'll be able to see them go off if there's an emergency, and then they'll take protocol and what they need to do in a case of an emergency.
Is this the only building in town that has it? School building?
That
Yeah.
I
Sam's saying no, so.
Okay.
So the next item that we completed is we completed all the roof items, including the ladder installations and also the safety tie downs. So those are all completed throughout the building. We also completed the installation of the temporary bollards that are for the north end handicap driveway. As of today, we completed the installation of the 9 bollards that go around the curved area. So those are the permanent ones. So those are all installed as of this afternoon. We did remove the handicap ramp from Fitch High School. So that's been graded and some hay has been put on top, and then we'll revisit that in the spring to rehydroseed that. And then also we regraded the Route 1 North embankment. So that's completed as well as of last month. We're still working on a few punch list items. We have probably approximately 30 left to go. And they will be working on that, as we continue, hopefully to complete it by the end of next week. Let's see. So the other thing that was completed, let's see. So the FF&E, I did receive information for one of the chairs, so that will be installed next week. And I'm still working with ESC in regard to those 2 Promethean boards with the cables. They've been lack of staff due to COVID, and also to fix that one room 102 where it's not working. The other item to bring up is the teacher carts. So I did send out an email to Bob this evening asking him if he wanted to talk about it. So basically the principals have asked for a total of 15 carts was my last email from the principal and assistant principal. So for those carts, it is a total dollar amount of, let me just bring this up here.
Could you explain, Tammy, can you explain what they need the carts for, just so everybody understands
Yep.
that
Yeah.
these are for extra staff that don't have space and whatnot?
Exactly. So I'm going to go through that email. So the total dollar amount is $12,566.40. So the reason for that is, so they have identified when they first entered into the building that per design, we ordered a cart for each room that was ordered, but they have more teachers now than the rooms when they entered into the building the beginning of September. So basically, in order for efficiency and to accommodate the teachers that that do not have a classroom, they had asked to purchase these additional carts for those teachers so they can take their stuff and put in the carts and be able to move about the school with all their curricular items, their supplies that they need to teach the students.
So this is 15 additional to what were purchased for 1 per room, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So, and we knew there were shared classrooms to begin with. We, based on what was looked at by the Board of Ed initially, we thought there was enough carts there. Evidently, it turned out not to be. That was something that kind of is beyond all of our controls. So to help the board and the teachers in this particular case, I would recommend going forward with it. The expenditure is not huge, but we're basically closing out all our contracts or POs for FF&E, except for maybe 1 or 2 are just getting finished right now. And this should be the last purchase that we make through the project for anything in the building, everything.
Does this give each teacher in the building a cart?
That's my understanding in speaking. We have verified with them a couple times because the first count was 17. Then I asked again, how many carts do you need? Then it went down to 15. So so now I'm hearing tonight it's back up to 17. So we
It
can.
was just communicated 17. That was all that I had heard. So I don't know if you got a formal request for 15. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
I did, yes, from the principal.
Okay.
So
Oh,
we
and
have,
if we get 17, they may have an extra 1 or 2, which is not a terrible thing.
Yeah,
true,
Right.
that is very true.
that's true.
My communication didn't have a number in it. I asked for a number and I just didn't get an answer back before.
Right, right.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, if they need them, they need them. We should get them. At least that's my opinion. I mean, I don't know if Rick needs something from the committee to make that purchase
Well,
or,
it's right now, it's out of scope. It's above the budget. We've
Mhm.
expended the budget for FF&E. So that's why we're discussing it here. If we had additional budget left, we'd probably say, hey, we need to buy these. We have the budget. We don't. need to, it still would have been a little bit out of scope, so we would have had that discussion, but we'd certainly like to have you guys weigh in on it so we can go ahead and make that purchase and move forward with it.
I mean, I would say if, I'm all for it. If we have the funds available, then, I would say if they need them, let's, let's make that purchase. But I mean, Bob would have to, just bring it up, bring it up to the membership, and I'm sure that, we would approve it.
Is there anyone that has a problem with putting this money toward the carts?
Yeah, no.
I'm not hearing anything, so Rick, do you want a motion, or do you want us to just say go ahead?
We have, I mean, if we have consensus, I think that's
Right.
sufficient at this point. We can put in the minutes.
I mean, if you need a motion,
You can make one, but I would leave that parliamentary stuff to Brian. I think as long as we have a consensus and put it in the minutes, then we're fine.
right.
I would agree.
As long as everybody here is good, I'll note it as such that the cart committee approved to, after discussion, the committee approved to buy, let's get the
17.
How many?
17.
Okay,
17, okay.
great, no problem.
No
Yeah,
problem.
and
Okay.
then we'll note it in here. It'll be as such. It's an item that's not going to be a reimbursable item or
Right.
otherwise. So it doesn't.
We understand that.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
And so I'm saying it's if it was a reimbursable state thing, I'd say, yeah, let's get a motion and do that. But
Yeah.
I
It's-
think we're fine
Yeah,
otherwise.
it's purely on the town at this point.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you all.
So the other thing that I wanted to bring up is the classroom locks. So that has been approved by the middle school and Sam. So we have received a PR from the architect. I'm just going through it and we'll be completing it by tomorrow to get the total count, the model number, and make sure that the language is correct in the PR. And then I will forward it on to the CM to place the order. It will take 6 to 8 weeks before the locks do come in.
I really think that's something we probably need you guys to approve because it is a safety item. And it, again, is outside of the scope of change of the plans, if you will, to a different lock set. So I would ask that we,
Rick, I thought we already did.
well, we did for a certain amount. So if you're comfortable with us doing it going forward, that's fine. And we can inform you what the amount is going to be. I think the amount that you said before was like $8,000 or thereabouts. It's going to be more than that, I think.
It's going to be probably double, if not a little more.
Yeah, so we can either go ahead and do that or at your pleasure, or we can wait and get a vote the next time around. I mean, because you did say, I think the last meeting, the consensus was to do what we needed to do to replace those locks.
That's correct.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so what we'll do then is we'll go forward. Tammy will verify the information, the classrooms. We'll make sure Sam-
Numbers.
Yeah, the numbers, we'll make sure Sam agrees with that, and then
Yep.
we'll place the
We
order.
can't put any more doors in.
No,
No,
we got a
it's
little
just the
piece that
mechanism.
Sam's been carrying around. We could put that in here for a
Now,
doggy
who's-
door or something. I don't know.
Who's gonna put the locks in?
Yeah, but
It's
we'll,
going to be the contractor.
Okay,
the spare locks and materials will be turned over to Groton Public Schools and Sam, so they can use them other places in the district or for parts or what they need. So although they're coming out and they're changed, the material's not going to waste, if you will.
okay.
May I just take up one order of business? The before I edit this back into the minutes, I think the additional conversation is obviously warranted. But my account of the meeting last time was that the new locks, that the discussions were gone on, the committee got an additional report and agreed that the change met the requirements of what everybody was requesting.
What the intent was.
Indeed, sir. And then that the new locks are to be ordered and that you folks asked for an update when they were received and the installation takes place. So I'm not going to make another entry into the minutes saying that we had additional action on that, because I think that the action from the previous now approved minutes sort of carries the ball.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get across when I said I thought we'd already approved that, but
Yeah,
Rick
okay.
was,
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
Hey, Bob, Hey, Bob, I think these need to be in the minutes that the committee approved the new locks, you know, and with a vote, because I just looked at what the minutes say now, and they don't say, you know, they said we talked about it, but it should be like a unanimous approval with the 7 people that were here, or the 6, or whatever the numbers were. So I think we should parliamentary this thing.
That's fine. I don't know if we took an order and a motion, otherwise I would have noted it as such.
Yeah, we didn't really.
We didn't.
If we want to make a motion and do that for the purposes of what you're saying, Michael, then let's do that, and I'll capture it in this one, and we'll put finality to it, and that's fine. However you want to do it, Bob.
Oh, that makes, I mean,
I'm just writing it down, you know what I mean?
I understand what Mike is saying, and I tend to agree with the fact that the minutes should reflect the fact that the committee took, you know, their time looking at all of this and looked it over carefully and knows what's going on, so that the public knows that they've been well served here. So Mike, you want to do the motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve buying the new locks and installing them at the middle school at a price not to exceed $20,000, or whatever number we want to use.
Yeah.
I can second.
Very good. Thank you, Christy.
Well,
believe
it's
that was-
Jamie.
Oh, it's Jamie. Okay.
It's Jamie.
Sorry about that.
We work as a team, Christy.
Girl, I hear it. We're one person now, apparently.
I apologize. But it doesn't come up with the speaker until about 2 seconds after they start talking.
Time for a new headset.
No, the headset's good. It's the visual.
Just poking fun, that's all.
Okay, so we have a motion and it's been seconded. All in favor?
I
All right.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Then we have an official motion there to go ahead and deal with replacement of the locks on the doors. And we're going to reserve the previously installed locks for parts and et cetera. And that can all go to Sam.
And as soon as we get a cost, we'll send that out to the
Yep.
committee, so you know what it is.
That's
Appreciate
fine.
it.
Yep.
Just don't let it go over 20K.
Yeah, I know. I'll have to put
We
on
will do our best.
I'll have to take my little lock set thing with me.
We can all come in and practice seeing if we can pick them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, what else you got?
All right, anything else, Tam?
Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about closeout. We're continuing on with the closeout process with O&G. I've received the O&M manuals and the warranties. I'm currently going to be going through those next week and pretty much matching everything up to the specifications, making sure we have the correct warranties, the amount of time for the warranties, so forth and so on. Also receiving all the as-built that need to be put into the binders for Sam. And then the other thing for closeout is I'm working with Rick and with letters. He's been having discussions with Brian to be able to turn over the building by the 18th to the Board of Ed. And
Oh, actually, no, we're going to
Yeah.
have that discussion on our next meeting.
Yeah.
And then the Board of Ed meets the 22nd, I
I'm
believe.
sorry,
So,
that's correct. Yes, sorry, my mistake.
nope, that's fine.
And then I'm working on closing out POs now with the vendors, with our finance person, Emily. And so we're working on closing out the financial portion as well.
So to add a little bit to what Tammy said, we did have a good meeting with Emily the other day. Brian and I, Emily talked about the closeout process, the audit process, how we get from here to there. Emily's been through it before, so she's an expert, and I think we get good guidance from that direction. They're going to come, her and actually her sister, who works for Arcadis also, we're going to come do a internal audit, if you will, in the beginning of April. They also have some materials they need to get together that they're going to start looking at earlier. We, being different than everybody else in the state, is a little bit different because other towns or municipalities sometimes, or even joint districts like District 11 or whatever, actually the committee hires the architect, hires the construction manager, hires the whatever, we being told to do the project as the Public Works Department does that. So we'll have that kind of discussion with the state and provide all the information that we have. So it may not be necessarily in the meeting minutes that we have hired those folks because we reported that out to you, but we do have all the information on the process. So we'll have that and be putting that together. Also on the financial side, you got some budgetary stuff today. The budget came out along with the change orders and the monthly reports. So we are in really good shape with this project. You know, we're looking in the vicinity of $6 million, as I said before, plus being returned. As Tammy said, we're looking at closing out our particular contracts. We had an LEP, for example, a licensed environmental professional that did some work on the old Merritt House. We had a couple of those other folks. We're closing those out if they have nothing left to do, really. We closed out, we're closing out Tri-State here pretty soon, or if we haven't already, who's the testing agency. We're working on the building inspector folks, and we expect to get like $90,000 back from that, what was set aside for that work. So we are collecting all these cats and dogs of funds, if you will. So really our schedule for closeout is to look at that initial audit, you know, the internal audit, finish those projects that are outstanding in April. We have 3 or 4 of them. I sent Bob a draft letter that we would send to you folks, and you would make a recommendation to the Board of Education to accept the building. And on there is the items that are required to get a final site plan compliance, which is grass and trees, and there's a retention basin that's installed that has to be removed. I think one of the items, the bollards, we're going to take off of there because they're in now. So we do have a punch list item to replace the steel ones with stainless steel, and 3 or 4 of them, but that project is basically done. So it's a punch list item now. And of course the sign work. So those are the major items that are outstanding. We do have, like Tammy said, some punch list stuff. We'll get that going. We have some final change orders that are being submitted. We'll get those in and processed. They're working on these AIA change orders, which are actually changes to the GMP. If you'll notice at the bottom of Tammy's change order log this time, I had her put down what the budget was for the school. We're really about 897,000 underneath what the budget was. So, you know, we were certainly on budget, under budget at this particular time, and I don't expect to approach really that budget number because we don't, frankly, have that much stuff left to do. So that portion of it's working. The kind of schedule we're looking at is to do that audit, get all the financial stuff done and closed, and get the final request from O&G, if you will, by late May, early June. And then we have to get you folks and the Board of Ed to sign an EDO 49F, which is the final reporting that the project's done, send that to the state and request the audit. The goal is to get them being the state to start the audit by the end of the year. So we'll work toward that and we'll see how we progress. So I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Brian. I think we're moving well on closeout though.
No, we're doing a great job, and everybody's really firing on all cylinders here. So, you know, that's working out well.
Ask one question around staff training. So has that all been completed now, or are we still working on?
One item, right, Tammy? You can
Yep.
tell us about
So
that.
we have one item left because there was a change. So the one item left for staff training is the art kiln startup and training. Because originally they didn't think that they needed it, but looking at the new kiln, it's different than what they had in the previous school, so they would like to have the training. So that's scheduled for the 17th of February.
But all the other maintenance stuff has already been taken care of. And
Right.
oh, excellent. I love
Yep,
it.
we have videos that'll be turned over to Sam and the town.
They even
So
know how to drive the Zamboni now.
No. I did want to drive the tractor though.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about.
You got to get the keys up. Get the keys from Sam or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Sam holds all the keys. And
Hey,
it's at
Sam,
the
that's
high
when you
school.
Walk by with your hand out and the key in one hand and your hand out in the other.
So we're likely to have some hard copy, a lot of hard copy stuff that we're going to have to
Mhm.
find someplace to put.
Yep.
We're going to have probably some thumb drives and some external hard drives because there's so much material that's
Mhm.
going to be transferred over at the end of this project that we'll have a copy of that, and a copy will be provided to the Groton Public Schools and Sam's folks. So there's a lot of documentation that goes along with that. Tammy's going through an audit of that to make sure she has all the books and the appropriate copies and that sort of thing. So as Brian said, everybody's turning to on that. We're getting good support. We're keeping after the guys from O&G to make sure we get all the change orders in and whatever, which there's very few left. So we've got, I think I've got 3 state, or we'll have 3 state change orders in hand.
Mhm.
We haven't got information on approval from the state yet on any of them. So we've asked that question that they need to send us back something so we know exactly where we stand with them. I mean, I think that's about it unless somebody else has some questions about closeout. It's a process.
I just wanted to add one thing, and that's in regards to the state. Like, you know, I just want to temper the expectations here because, you know, our goal collectively is to get all this stuff submitted, done, turned in the most expeditious way possible. But none of us have any control over
Oh,
what
yeah.
happens once it leaves our hands. So I don't want people to think that, well,
Waiting on the,
got it all
waiting
done,
on
we're
the,
gonna get our money in
waiting on
6
the,
months, you know?
waiting on the state is like sitting in a room watching paint dry.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page. You know,
Oh, yeah, we know.
the team are going to knock it out, but
This ain't our first rodeo.
Yeah.
But Emily told me, Brian. But Emily told me. No. And we know that's conversation, and it's got to go. You know, get them on board and get that. So as soon as we get in, we'll get going. I think that's all we have on the middle school, unless there's some additional questions that folks have.
Do you have any
the only
questions
thing-
for Tammy?
I have one
The only
question.
thing I have, go ahead, Mike.
I looked at my notes and we were told there were 31 punch list items left, and now there's 30 left. Is this a static list, or does it
No,
change a little bit?
So
Is it
it's still,
continuing to grow? I mean,
well, we had added, so the reason why it grew a little bit is because of the fact that we took the items off the faculty list that they had been keeping track of, and we had added it to the overall punch list. So we have one overall punch list that O&G is keeping track of instead of multiple punch lists.
okay, that's a great idea.
So that's why.
Finally figured that one out.
The only question I have, Rick, is are we doing the audit again? And instead of waiting on the state?
No, we're not.
or-
Unless we can get the state to change their mind.
Okay,
We're not able to hire an independent auditor ourselves. They want to do it, but I don't
Okay.
know how they're going to do it in a reasonable time, but that's
right.
the state.
I mean, I know in the past, when we did other projects, we ended up bringing, because we didn't want the state to wait on the state for some type of an audit.
Right.
But I didn't know if that's what we were doing here.
Well, so we're doing that. I guess one thing I should have brought up that I didn't on that school is the sign down at the bottom of the hill.
Mhm.
We're putting in a new sign for Sutton Park, which is going to be in the ground tomorrow. We did go to the planning commission. They didn't approve it first time around. They had a whole bunch of questions that are more revolved around design as opposed to complying with regulations. So we're going to be back on their agenda here, probably not this coming week, but at the next meeting following that up. So we'll keep you advised of what's going on in that regard. But we need to get that approval before we can build that particular sign. So that would probably be that, and the grass and the trees would probably be the last items to be completed on the project. And that, I think, sums it up.
Anybody else have any questions for Tammy?
Nope.
Tammy, thank you.
You're welcome.
That means we can move on to
Yeah,
Kelly.
Yeah, she's chomping at the bit over here, I can tell.
Kelly, you're up.
And we got a
All right.
picture this time. You guys are fortunate, you know.
So since we're talking about the state, I'll start with that. We had our meeting with OSCGR today on the FF&E packages, and it went really well. We were done in under 2 hours on both schools. Barbara Fabiani with the state had very few comments, so we have a couple things that we have to modify. Very minimal, just moving a couple things like a microwave to ineligible rather than eligible. And then submit those back to her for her final approval. So it sounds like we're in really good shape with FF&E. So that's for both schools. And then technology, we should be getting the package from D'Agostino next week. So once we review that, if it looks good to go, Rick will talk to you guys about when we'll bring that to you.
Yeah, I think Brian has a schedule for that.
Sure do.
I have the 18th, if that's still right.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is. So
Yeah.
we tried to line this up accordingly to not only your schedule, but the Board of Ed schedule and OSCGR schedule, right? So
Yep.
we'll get the stuff from D'Agostino in the next week, I would say. That'll give everybody time to vet it internally and make sure that, you know, we've checked all the boxes in regards to what it is. So by the time the 18th meeting comes across, you know, we'll be able to bring it to you in a confident manner. And then that'll line up to Board of Ed's meeting at the 22nd. So assuming all of you approve and we're able to move forward, then we'll hit the Board of Ed meeting. We'll, in the next couple of days, gather all the necessary signatures and then get it up to the state, hopefully on the 23rd, if possible. Then have the meeting with Barbara on the 24th. Assuming that all goes according to plan, we'll be at the following meeting for you here in the committee and reporting back hopefully very similar results to what we had with the furniture. So that's the schedule going forward.
Thank you, Brian.
No, thank you.
So I will start with Mystic River. Mystic River, we are still ongoing with brick veneer and ground face veneer on the exterior of the building. Probably 90% complete with area A and B and 50% complete with area C, our 3-story wing. So they're moving along, almost done. They're really opening up the area for storefronts to be installed. Right now, storefront windows are going in area A and B. So that's ongoing, and they'll swing around to area C once they're done with the 1-story wing. Dry-in status has not changed. We're still 100% dried in C, hopefully. No water entered the building during the storm in area C, so that's great news. Area A and B is still 95% complete, no new status there. We had a rep out, the Carlisle roofing rep out today, looking at the slab on deck to get our final approval to start roofing next week. Snow did enter the building in area A and B, but there's no finishes, no drywall, no insulation in those areas, so there's no damages. MEP is continuing in all areas, so they're moving along. And then in area C, insulation is continuing of piping and ductwork. Area C, drywall, insulation, and taping is ongoing. They have full forces in the 3rd floor right now, which they're completing, moving down to the 2nd floor, and then the 1st floor is already partially complete. Rooftop equipment, that work has been, was it Tuesday? No, Wednesday, because of the storm that got pushed a couple days. So they started Wednesday, and ductwork is going on the roof as well. No safety issues, no COVID issues, so that's all great news. And that is all I have for Mystic River. Any questions on Mystic River? All right.
Go
ahead.
Are we shifting over from propane at some point in the near future?
So we just got confirmation that the gas company, they had some issues with the with the vendor they were using or the subcontractor. They're back on site finishing up the gas work. I have to get an update as to what their completion date was. It was mid-January originally, so we gotta get an update from Eversource. And as soon as I get that, I'll let you know. But
Yep.
I don't think it's gonna be for a couple more weeks. But eventually, yes, that is the plan.
But they are supposed to start Monday is the word we got, so. So we know a start date, but Kelly's got to get the completion date at some point here.
They
This
were
isn't
all-
holding up anything.
No,
Yeah, it's just holding up the switch over.
Right.
Any other questions? All right, Thames River Magnet School, same roof status, area C is complete. Area B is got a little bit delayed. They'll be done by the end of this week. Next week they'll be done with Area A roofing. The ground brick or the ground face veneer and the brick veneer and the exterior of the building is continuing. They're moving along fast in Area C and still continuing Area A and B. Playground is ongoing. See interior work. I guess we'll talk about the roof. We had a couple spots in the building where we had some water come in Area C. No insulation, no drywall was damaged or wet. The roof areas were patched immediately, so that's good. Area A and B, a little bit of snow. B, actually, no snow came in. Area A, lots of snow came in, but that there's no finishes in there, no drywall, no insulation. But B was completely weather tight. So Area A wall layout is continuing, even B wall layout is continuing, and mechanical rough-ins are going on in Area C and B. Windows will be here probably in the next week or two, storefront windows. And rooftop chiller got placed on the roof of Area C today. I think that's it. No safety.
That was
issues.
actually kind of fun to watch.
Was it?
Oh, yeah. It was pretty impressive. It's not a small unit.
No, they're huge. And wait till those DOAS units come. Those are even bigger.
Yeah.
And so no safety issues and no COVID issues on site. So they're doing a great job. The enforcement of the masks and the policies, the new policies that ONG put in place, it's working. And, you know, moving along. Tammy mentioned that the lock sets were approved. So we got the word, we're good to go. Orders are in, no costs on our jobs. So thank you for taking the bullet on that one. And I think that,
You've hit max height now, right? So the FAA certifications are done?
yeah, so we will file our FAA permit tomorrow. We have 5 days after the placement of our top highest point. So that will get filed tomorrow. And we do let the local airport tower know whenever we're doing any work like that. So they were notified yesterday and this morning.
yeah, they need crane permits too, which
Right.
Contractor does, so, yeah, which are higher than the building.
And our highest point technically is the DOAS's, it's not the chiller. So we technically haven't hit highest point yet.
Ellie, how many people we got on site roughly each school?
Roughly, I'd say about high 60s on both.
Okay.
Any other questions on Mystic River? Jamie hopefully is going to come out and see the project and look at the landscaping for some things she wants to purchase. Greenhouses, fun stuff in March when it's warmer.
So what's the potential possibility of actually getting a tour these days?
I'll leave that up to Brian and Rick. It's nothing's changed. I mean, we had a good week, but
So,
it's the same thing ongoing. You never know what's going to happen.
so I would think we could if we want to take a couple at a time through for a small group, we should be able to do that.
Yeah, I'd like to do it towards the end of the day when most of the contractors. are
Yeah,
left.
when the contractors are gone, then there's nobody on site, so it's just
That
us
makes
folks or whatever. But
Yeah, 3
I would
o'clock
say if they get to you,
is packed
Bob, on a date or something, we can get to Kelly and let her know.
Sure.
Yeah, and she can coordinate that then with the site. But, you know, we are at a point, of course, Dave, you're gonna have to wait, Dave. We don't have all the sheetrocking yet. I know you don't want to see steel studs, you know, according to your last report there. So we're working on that part of it. But yeah, no, the building's really started to take shape. It's one of these, once they start putting the steel studding in the inside of the building, you're trying to figure out, because everything's open, what direction do you go to get where you want to be? Kind of thing. So, a couple things to add, you know, we did have an issue with heat trace and hot water recirc. That design's been completed. We're getting that back. That's being worked. As soon as we get some value on what the change order cost is to keep you appraised, we'll let you know that. There was a sort of a moderate change, if you will, to the restroom, gang bathroom sinks. That information has come in. You know, we've worked with Sam. It's going to be similar to the installation that's at middle school. So as soon as we get any additional costs on that, we'll let you know. They are still working on costs. We're waiting for some input back for irrigation to the fields. So we'll let you know where that is. I haven't asked Arcadis yet, but I think I'm going to ask them to at least price out what sod would be on the playing fields, because that looks like it was a kind of a home run on the middle school, if you will. And what else we got out there?
The biggest thing on that, Rick, is if we don't do sod,
Yeah,
they won't be able to use those fields until the
Yeah.
following year.
yeah, I know. Yeah, it's going to be, instead of 6 months down the road, it's going to be, you know, and
Yeah.
9 months. Yeah, because if we plant in the spring, we got 9 months probably to stay off the field until the following year. So that's huge, I think, for both them and the town.
Yeah, exactly.
Promethean boards, you know, we did ask, and we had talked about the increase in price there. We do have a couple of proposals in right now. We've got to pull those back, review them, because we have some questions about one school versus the other. So we'll get on that. Potentially we'll have something for you the next meeting on that, so we can get that resolved and let you know what the numbers are and that sort of thing. That's all I can think of. You can think anything else, Brian? That he's writing. He's taking notes.
We ran to the refrigerator.
Oh, well.
It's all this rapid fire. You guys really challenged me. I was going to try to do the notes on my computer, but I'm like, yeah, I'm not that fast.
Yeah, he didn't even bring us a beer when he came back from the refrigerator. What's up with that?
No, I don't think so. I think this, if you folks want to set up the you know, the site walks, like I said, I think that, you know, 3:30-ish time frame is probably good. You know, gives you an hour of light and whatnot in the building. I mean, obviously there's temp lights and whatnot, but gives you an hour of daylight, give or take,
Right.
maybe a little more as time goes on, but gives you, you know, safe access in and out, and maybe it's 3 of you at a time or something.
And that's what I was going to ask is, you know, what do you think are safe for numbers?
Yeah, I would
But
say
if you want to
around-
do 3 at a time, that sounds
Yeah,
excellent.
I would think that would be pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, if not, we're gonna have to walk like Jamie walks the kids. You know what I mean? You got to walk in a line. You got to keep your space on the right side of the corridor. You know.
I mean,
Everybody
we'll
else-
we'll let Jamie lead the tour then. Is that what you're saying?
The kids are better at it than the rest of us, right?
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
sure.
they will follow along. You guys, I don't know. To rein it in, hold the line.
Okay, but yeah, I think that's what we have, you know, budgetarily, we're in good shape on the elementary schools as far as the budget and what will be expended for change orders. We've got a low amount you can look at. We're still waiting for some change orders to come in from West Side that were coordination issues and that kind of thing. So the latest logs were attached to the agenda this time. So
Yeah.
take a look at those. If you have any questions, certainly ask us. I mean, the team's ready to respond to those questions. So if you have any of that that you'd like to ask or talk about, they can provide information on that also. So I have nothing else at this point. I don't think on the school project we did, and I did let Bob know that the superintendent had sent a letter to the town manager asking about the additional funding and whether they could use that for field lighting, if you will. He's turned that over to the director of finance to work with the bonding official to see what that is. The word we're kind of getting back is if it's for middle school or for middle school use, it's fine. If somebody else is using it, that amount may not be able to be taken from the bond. So there'll be more from that coming. You know, there's not a definitive, real definitive answer yet, but I'm sure we'll get something in the relatively near future. So that's the only request was for lights on both the softball field and the turf field there.
The only thing I would say, add, Rick, is when we get ready and do FF&E, can we double check and make sure that we're going to have enough carts if we're doing carts for the elementary schools?
Well,
For all the teachers. this
yeah,
time?
those teachers are assigned a classroom. The difficulty with the elementary school is based on the square footage. I mean, the middle school, the square footage that was allowed by the state.
Oh,
We
I
couldn't
gotcha.
provide everybody. For example, we couldn't provide 12 classrooms for science because they had 12.
Yeah, we
science
couldn't do
teachers.
16 science rooms.
Yeah, so we
Right.
could only provide what we did. My understanding at the elementary schools, everybody's going to have a classroom or a space to work from. So
Right.
so it may not be the same issue, but that's
Okay.
certainly we could look at as we move forward. But
That's a
we
good
did-
point, Dave, especially if you have things like art on a card or,
Yeah,
Yeah.
music
do.
or,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
you
but they
know,
do have.
I mean,
art rooms, they do
I
have
don't mind
whatever.
getting the extra carts and spending money, but
Yep.
if we can try and, beat that at the head of the pass, when it comes time to do FF&E,
Well,
definitely make sure that we've got everything that we need.
We
We
did.
missed that.
We did it.
Yeah, that bus has left the station. We've already
We
taken
did
the
it already.
FF&E list to the state. So anything else, we'll have to, in addition, we'll have to come back and you'll have to give us a hearty aye or something, So I think that's completes what we have to say. I know we talked about some of the unfinished business stuff
yeah, it seems we've pretty well, we've had a discussion about what we're going to be doing for the closeout. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Not at this point, I'll
I didn't think so.
keep you appraised. I need to know, I'm looking for a letter that we drafted for the permanent school building committee to send to the Board of Ed recommending they accept the school. So I'll get that to Bob, so we can have that for the next meeting and discuss that.
Yeah, so everybody's aware at the next meeting, we're looking to basically say, we've reached the point where we're going to go to the board with the letter and say, we've done what we were supposed to do and we're turning the whole thing over to you. Here's the list. Here's the letter. It's yours. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll have everything in place to do that at the next meeting.
Yep. So we'll get that stuff together. Other than that, we'll keep you obviously appraised of the financial stuff as we go forward and the closeout that Tammy's working and we're all working on with Emily, who's doing a bang up job for us too, as far as the financial end of the business. I mean, we'd kind of be lost, I think, financially if she wasn't helping us in some regards, so that's great. We don't have a Lori Huckins like we had last time where we held all the contracts, so.
And then the other thing under unfinished business is the elementary school FF&E, which we've pretty much realized, okay, that's gone to the state. There are a couple of quick changes that need to be made and Cal will be getting back to us on that.
Right.
And that probably is going to go back to the state before the end of the month.
Yeah, well, actually the end of the week, next week. And also,
I'm being conservative.
Oh, I know. I understand.
We're lighting it on fire.
And I think it was mentioned that there was a couple of things that were moved from eligible to ineligible, like microwave ovens. That really doesn't mean much of anything. It was $380 because you can't guarantee a microwave for 20 years, so.
Right.
So other than there may have been one other adjustment, but really she was pretty good. The state was, and because we were talking about all the soft seating and stuff, which only has like a 12-year warranty, if you will, or life expectancy, and she went ahead and approved that as eligible. So we did. She had a positive spirit today, and it was a very good meeting, I thought, and it certainly was fast. I mean, but it's like we always say, give people the information so they can say yes, right? So
Give them a reason to say no.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, she had it in enough time, right, where she had an opportunity to kind of dig her teeth in. So
Yeah.
She already had her list done, and so it wasn't this laborious, effort to go through
Line by line.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that worked out really well.
Yeah. So that's great. But I think that's all we have as a team tonight.
Anybody have any final questions?
Nope.
Very good, then. I will say thank you all for your time. I won't hold you from your suppers any further.
Yep.
Stay safe. If you guys are interested in touring either of the schools, drop me an email. Give me some dates. We'll try to apply one for each of the schools starting at 3:30. So let me know what your pleasure is. We'll try to work those together. Otherwise,
Okay.
have a great 2 weeks. We will see you then.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
Bye, good night.